Hey guys, Surgeon here, and welcome to a new video. In this video, we're going to be doing kind of similar to what we did a couple videos back where we did a melee gear upgrade guide, but in this guide, we're going to talk about range gear. Now, I took a lot of people's feedback from the last video, and I decided to go through and do some more editing. I also decided to take into more account more stats, and try to talk about more things in general, especially when it comes to the weapons and offhands. So, I hope you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a like. If you don't, then please let me know why in the comment section. I tried to improve it, especially from the feedback on the last video, so hopefully it's up to you guys' standards. And if you guys do enjoy this video and you want to see more content from this channel, go ahead and subscribe. And without further ado, let's start off with the helmets. So for helmets, you've got this, and this to realistically choose from. You've also got this, but unless you're like a 1 defense pure, you're not really going to use this because the Armadillo helmet is usually just a lot better if you got 70 defense, and the price difference between like a Blessed D'hide coif and the Robin Hood hat is not that much of a difference, so usually you're just better off using a Armadillo coif or a Blessed D'hide coif until you can get an Armadillo helmet. If you're 1 defense pure, then this is obviously a lot better. But let's talk about these 4. You got the Archer helmet, the Blessed coif, Carol's coif, and Armadillo helmet to really choose from here realistically. The Archer helmet's going to require 45 defense to wear. The Blessed D'hide coif is only going to cost you 40 defense, but you're going to also have to have 70 range to wear it. The Carol's coif is going to require 70 range and 70 defense to wear, as well as the Armadillo helmet is going to require you to have the same thing. So if you're below 70 range, you want to go for the Archer helmet. If you're 70 range or higher, then you definitely want to be going for the Blessed D'hide coif. Now, fun fact, the D'hide coif and the Carol's coif will give you the same ranged attack bonus. The Blessed D'hide coif will actually give you prayer bonus, whereas the Carol's coif will give you more defense. Now, it's not really a whole lot more defense, but it does give you more defense in the end. And then finally, you have at the top of the list, you have the Armadillo helmet, which gives you the most, which is plus 10 to your ranged attack bonus, and it gives you the best defense bonuses, and it gives you some prayer as well. So all around, the Armadillo helmet is just far and superior to everything else. It does cost about 3.5 mil at the time that I just checked, but it is by far the best thing to be wearing in your helmet slot. However, most people, unless you're doing Slayer, where you're obviously going to use an imbued black mask or a imbued Slayer helmet, you're pretty much going to be wanting using a Blessed D'hide coif. As it is relatively cheap, you can get one for pretty much around like 30k or so, and it's going to give you the same amount of range attack bonus as a coif, just not as much defense, and it will actually give you prayer, which is kind of handy. Now the next bit, I'm going to talk about both chest and legs in the same part, and the reason for that is that realistically, there's only 4 different types of things you're going to be using, which is you're going to be either using Black D'hide, Blessed D'hide, Carol's, or Armadillo. So let's just talk about these 4. It's going to be the same for your top or your legs, so I'm just going to talk about them together in general because overall it's the same idea. So both Black D'hide and Blessed D'hide require the same levels to wear, which is 40 defense and 70 ranged, and they both have the same defensive stats and the same offensive stats. The only difference is that the Blessed D'hide gives you prayer bonus over the Black D'hide. So realistically, you either pay like 7.5k for a Black D'hide top, or you fork over 80k for a Blessed D'hide top, and you get the extra prayer bonus. So you're paying like 75k, and you get the extra prayer bonus, or not even 75k, like less than 75k for the extra prayer bonus. And that's the same for both the top and the legs. So usually, for most people, I would just recommend using Blessed D'hide over Black D'hide. It's just usually superior because of the fact you get 1 prayer bonus, but you are forking over the 65k. So if you are really tight on money, Black D'hide's probably fine. Once you get 70 defense as well as 70 range, you unlock the ability to wear the Carol's top or the Armadillo top. Now, the Armadillo top is obviously best in slot. You do get the highest range bonus from it. You don't necessarily get the most defensive bonuses, but you also do get prayer bonus as well, which is something to point out. Obviously, the Carol's top is going to be a much tankier top to wear, and this is usually what you're going to be wearing if you're trying to get those extra defenses, especially when it comes to like ranged and mage. So if you're trying to get extra defensive bonuses and maximize your range attack bonus, and you're obviously going to want to use the Carol's top, but in my opinion, you don't really use a Carol's top. Like if you're just using this for Slayer, you're usually better off just using Blessed D'hide instead, because I know for myself, I tend to use like either Eagle Eye whenever I'm on task, and so the extra prayer bonus does kind of help me have my prayer last a little bit longer. If you are looking for the more defensive bonuses though, then obviously go for Carol's, and obviously your best in slot is going to be the Armadillo, and this goes for both top and bottom, so you can use the same thing for whenever you shop for your legs as well. Moving down to boots, we got 4 options. You got super budget snakeskin, you got pretty much what everyone uses, which is D'hide boots, you got the I'm a Baller Ranger boots, And then you got the best in slot Pegasian boots. Let's talk about all of these. So the snakeskin boots, they require 30 ranged and defense to wear. They only give you about 3 range bonus, but they cost like 2 cents. They cost like absolutely nothing. So they're super budget, super welfare. But when you got about like 600k or so, you can eventually afford to buy the Blessed D'hide boots, which give you, instead of 3 range bonus, they actually give you a nice 7 range bonus, and they give you 1 prayer bonus, which is actually super nice. Those require 40 defense and 70 range to wear. You've also got, like I said, the Super Baller Ranger boots, and that's because these are actually the most expensive boots to wear at the moment. They only require 40 range to wear, but they do give you plus 8 range bonus, which is pretty stellar. 1 more range bonus than the D'hide boots, but you're paying like 25 mil more for plus 1 range bonus. However, the Pegasians, which are less than the Ranger boots, they require 75 defense and range to wear. They actually give you plus 12 range bonus, and that's about it. But that gives you plus 12 range bonus, which is like the highest you can get, which makes them the best in slot. Unfortunately, no, you don't get any prayer bonus, which would have been really nice, but it would have made them super busted. Again, like I said, these are cheaper than Ranger boots, and that's because of the defense and range level required versus the Ranger boots only require 40 defense. But your Pegasian boots are eventually going to be your best in slot. However, if you are a main account and you're not using like a pure account or anything with like minimal defense, then I would definitely recommend, like, don't buy Ranger boots. Just save for Pegasians. Just buy your Pegasians. It's not really worth it, to be honest. You're paying an extra 25 mil for plus 1 range bonus, and you're losing a prayer bonus. So you may as well wait until you've got the levels and the extra cash for the Pegasian boots and go ahead and afford those instead. So in terms of your necklace or amulet, you're going to have the option of these 3 items right here. You're going to have the Glory, the Fury, and the Anguish to choose from. Only one of these has a requirement to wear, and that's going to be the Anguish, and it requires 75 HP to wear and around 11 mil to have. So that's the only real requirement you have. The other ones you can wear without anything required at all. So you've got the Glory, which is your welfare option. It's going to cost you about 20k or so, and it gives you about the same range bonus, if not the same range bonus as the Fury. The only difference between the Fury and the Glory is that the Fury will give you more defensive bonuses, more strength bonus, and on top of that will give you more prayer bonus as well. So the Fury is all around, like, in terms of actual range bonus, it doesn't make an actual difference between the Glory and the Fury. The Fury, though does give you more prayer bonus, which can be kind of attributed to being more range bonus because you can use Eagle Eye for longer, and it also does give you more defensive bonuses. All around, it's just a better amulet in terms of like melee because of the extra strength bonus it gives over the Glory. But to be honest, if you're looking strictly for range bonus, which just increases the accuracy of your hits, then the Glory is completely fine. Obviously, if you've got 11 mil, you can upgrade to the Necklace of Anguish, which gives you plus 15 range bonus, which is 5 more. But you do lose out on 3 of the prayer bonus, so it basically takes you down to just below the Glory, but it does give you the most range bonus in the game. Doesn't give you any defensive bonuses, but will make you the most accurate you can with a neck piece item. So for your gloves, there's a few different options, but I'm going to narrow it down to more of like 3 realistic options, and those options are the combat bracelet, the Blessed D'hide van braces, or the normal D'hide van braces, and the Barrows gloves. So looking at these, the 3 options, only one of them has absolutely 0 requirements, and that's obviously the combat bracelet. Again, it is your welfare option. If you don't have any other real stats, then your combat bracelet is probably what you're going to be using for a while. However, if you've got 40 defense and 70 range and you haven't done RFD yet, then upgrading to the D'hide van braces or the Blessed D'hide van braces is a fantastic option. It gives you a lot more range bonus and just overall better defensive stats. So if you're going to be ranging, I would recommend using this. Plus, you're also going to get 1 more range or 1 more prayer bonus, which is something not to be laughed about. Also, once you've done RFD though, Barrows gloves is exactly what you want to do. This is the best in slot hand item for, like, I'm pretty sure almost everything. So once you've done Recipe for Disaster and you've completed that, you want to upgrade to Barrows gloves. This is going to be your best in slot when it comes to range. Now, there is something called like Ranger gloves, but to be honest, for the price point they are and the amount of bonuses they give, Barrows gloves are still better and give more range bonus, and they don't cost as much since Barrows gloves only cost 120k, and Ranger's gloves cost a couple mil. So yeah, that's why I would definitely recommend Barrows gloves over something like Ranger gloves. Now, I know I've put stats up for everything else I've done in this video, but for the sake of my mental health and the length of this video, I'm just going to put up the offhands and the weapons as just the pictures, and I'm going to talk about them in general. If you're really curious about the stats, I can put them in the description, but for purposes of editing, I'm just going to start talking about these offhands and weapons because, to be honest, there's a lot of them, so let's just jump into this. So let's start with the top row. These are the offhand you're going to be using if you're trying to get a higher range bonus. And I ordered them in left to right from highest range bonus, or from lowest range bonus to highest range bonus. So you have the Unholy Book, which gives you +8 range bonus and some prayer bonus along the side, but it's incredibly expensive, and if you're going for strictly range bonus, would not recommend it. If you're going to use a God book, definitely get the Book of Law instead, which is the Armadale book. It's going to give you +10 range bonus and some prayer bonus as well. So go ahead and use that if you're strictly going after getting some kind of range bonus. If you want to get just basically you're only planning on ranging, then you definitely want to go for the Odium Ward. The Odium Ward gives you +2 more range bonus than the Book of Law. However, you do suffer in the fact that you get negative bonuses in every other combat style and every other combat attack style. So if you're purely ranging, Odium Ward is fine. But if you're going to be doing anything else besides ranging and have this equipped, it's going to negatively affect you. Finally, you have the Twisted Buckler, which gives you +6 more range bonus than the Odium Ward. It gives you +18. However, it is like the Odium Ward where every other combat style is negatively affected in its attack rate. However, it does give you a relatively high range defense bonus, and couples that of the Blessed Spirit Shield, which is like the bottom of the tier that I would say for the defensive offhands. So Twisted Buckler is great. However, it does cost you like 17.5 mil, so you might want to take that into account before blowing your wad on a Twisted Buckler. Now, looking at the ranged defense offhands, you've got two options that require 70 defense. You got the Blessed Spirit Shield and the Crystal Shield. The Crystal Shield is much better than the Blessed Spirit Shield. In most cases, the only way that the Blessed Spirit Shield is better is if you're going for a crush defense bonus. In that case, the Blessed Spirit Shield is going to be better, and it gives you +3 prayer bonus. But in overall defensive stats, like the Crystal Shield is better. It is to be noted, though, that the Blessed Spirit Shield requires 60 prayer to wield, while the Crystal Shield requires 50 agility to wield. They are relatively close in price, however, upon degradation, unless you imbue the Crystal Shield, it will lose some of its defensive stats. So make sure if you're using a Crystal Shield that you imbue it at Nightmare Zone so that you can maintain the highest level of defensive bonuses as possible. And also, as you repair your Crystal Shield, it will actually get much cheaper than the Blessed Spirit Shield. However, the Blessed Spirit Shield does cost 870k, and that's an upfront fee, and then you never have to pay that. You never have to recharge it. It constantly stays charged. However, the best in slot for like defensive bonuses would be the Dragonfire Shield. Now, for ranged defenses, it is not the best in slot. The Crystal Shield is actually better. However, in overall defensive bonuses, the DFS is better. It does give you -5 range attack bonus, but for the sheer amount of defensive bonuses you're going to be getting, like if you're using range against anybody who melees, it's going to give you very good defense bonuses for being a ranger. So you might want to take that into account when you go to range. If you're trying to get a lot of range defense, then you definitely want to use a Crystal Shield because it will give you more defense bonuses against that, and it won't affect your ranged attack bonus. But if you're going for just overall defensive bonuses, the Dragonfire Shield is a great thing to pick up for only about 9 mil. Now, there's a ton of weapons I can talk about, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to leave it at a few, and let's start off with the two-handed weapons that you can use for ranged. So there's a lot of these, yeah? Well, save the trouble. There's really only two you're ever going to use for training, and that's going to be either the Magic Shortbow Imbued or the Toxic Blowpipe. Now, the Toxic Blowpipe is actually relatively expensive to use, considering you do have to use scales and darts every time you use a charge of it, but it is the fastest attacking weapon in the game next to darts. Oddly enough, it fires darts. The Magic Shortbow is relatively cost effective, and make sure that if you do end up using a Magic Shortbow to train, make sure you imbue it. It costs a little bit extra, but it increases your range bonus, and on top of that, it reduces the cost of the special attack by 5%, making it so that the special attack costs 50% instead of 55%. The other weapons up here are really kind of niche weapons. For example, the Crystal Bow is one of the highest DPSing bows in the game, next to the Twisted Bow. But it does have one of the longest ranges as well, so that is to be noted. The Heavy Ballista is a great PKing weapon. It can hit fucking massive, but it's an incredibly slow weapon, and it's really not going to be used for bossing ever that much. Dark Bow, again, it's a PvP weapon. It's a rushing weapon. It can hit really high, but for overall DPS, it is not that good. The Carol's Crossbow is kind of a weird weapon. It is a two-handed crossbow, but it's the fastest attacking crossbow in the game. It attacks faster than every other crossbow, and because of that, it does increase its DPS higher than most other crossbows. However, I believe with the Rune Crossbow and Onyx Bolts, you can hit higher, but I think just from an overall average DPS standpoint, the Carol's Crossbow is fantastic. Now, the Twisted Bow, there's a reason it costs so much, right? It does insane damage. And its damage is a little bit weird. It actually scales off of the opponent's magic level versus their ranged defense level, which is usually how you calculate how much damage you'll end up doing to a creature. But the Twisted Bow is a little bit different. And it fires normal arrows, and it fires at the speed of a longbow. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. But if you can afford it and you're going to boss a lot, then a twisted bow is absolutely fucking incredible. But if you're going to be ranging any bosses, then a blowpipe, and if you're going to be bossing and you're using a two-handed weapon, then you're pretty safe using a toxic blowpipe. Because of the fact that it attacks so fast, you can usually outweigh the amount of zeros that you'll hit because of how fast you're actually attacking. And now for the one-handers. You've got three choices. You got the rune crossbow, the dragon hunter crossbow, and the armadillo crossbow. This is a very simple progression, much easier to explain than the two-handers, but pretty much you'll be using a rune crossbow for everything. If you're killing dragons and you can afford it because of how expensive it is, then you want to use a dragon hunter crossbow. It's obviously superior whenever you're killing any kind of dragon. However, from an all-around, just whenever you're using a one-hander for range, then the armadillo crossbow outclasses everything. It has 5 more range bonus than the dragon hunter crossbow, costs about the same as the dragon hunter crossbow, and it gives you some prayer bonus as well. So the armadillo crossbow in an overall standpoint is far superior, but if you are killing dragons, then the dragon hunter crossbow is better than an armadillo crossbow. But again, it's a very niche weapon and not really something I'm going to recommend that you use to train or boss all the time for obviously that reason. Now, before we end this off, there's a couple things I need to talk about, and there's really not a location for me to talk about these, but we're going to talk about Void, your rings, and what you should wear on your back. So Void isn't as strong as it used to be, right? It suffered a pretty rough nerf and almost kind of a well-deserved nerf, but that's not what this video is about. However, it does still give 10% increased damage and accuracy whenever you're wearing the full set of Void range. And if you've done the elite, or if you've done the hard Western Provinces diaries and you have the elite version of Void range, then it will do 12.5 damage or 12.5% damage instead of just the 10%. So that is to be noted. However, there's not a whole lot of cases you'll actually be using this. The most notable place you'll be using this will be for Nightmare Zone, and Elite Void you will use in like raids. But Void isn't nearly as strong as it used to be, but it's kind of deserved. But again, that's not what this video is talking about. Your ring, you have Archer's Ring. It's really the only ring that's going to give you any kind of range bonus. And if you're going to use an Archer's Ring, get the 650,000 Nightmare Zone points to imbue it. Normally, the Archer's Ring will give you +4 range bonus. However, when it's imbued, it will give you +8, which is not to be laughed at, considering your ranged attack or your ranged attack bonus increases the accuracy you have when attacking. Finally, you have the Ava's Accumulator, which requires 50 ranged and the completion of Animal Magnetism. It is by far the only thing that really gives you a notable amount of range bonus in your cape slot. The ranged skill cape is okay. It gives you defense bonuses, doesn't give you any range bonuses, but it does give you the same effect as an accumulator where it'll pick up your ammo. But for range attack bonus purposes, you want the accumulator, and if you don't have 50 range and you have 30 ranged or in between 30 and 50, then you can use the attractor. But once you hit 50, you should upgrade to the accumulator to double your range bonus in your cape slot. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful or entertaining, or maybe even both of them. I know somebody in the comments is going to be like, you forgot to talk about this, or you forgot to talk about this. Yeah, I probably did. But to be honest, I just try to talk over the main points that most people are going to be trying to look at when they go to upgrade their range gear. Yes, there are some niche things I didn't talk about, but I wanted to kind of give us an idea of like when you're actually having to make a decision on what you could be upgrading from. Not in the lower levels when it's very easy. When you start getting to the higher levels and there's a bunch of different options, I wanted to give a guide or just kind of explain what all the different pieces of gear did. And if you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, then let me know why in the comment section below, or just give me some feedback in the comment section below. And if you want to see more content from this channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The link to my CC, Discord, Twitch, and Twitter will all be in the description below if you're into any of that. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.